Hello, this is Dr. Michael Greger coming to you live from my treadmill, though, as you can see, I'm stationary on my treadmill. That's because I hurt my foot and it still hurts to walk, unfortunately. But the good news is I won't be making anyone seasick this video by me constantly walking back and forth. But don't get used to it because I'm going to be back on this puppy before you know it. For those of you unfamiliar with my work, every year I read through every issue of every English language nutrition journal in the world, or I strive to at least. So busy folks like you don't have to. I then compile the most interesting, most groundbreaking, most practical findings and new videos and articles upload nearly every day to my nonprofit site, NutritionFacts.org. Everything on the website is free. There are no ads, no corporate sponsorship, strictly non-commercial, not selling anything, just put it up as a public service, as a labor of love, as a tribute to my grandmother. So welcome back. These are Q&As I do every month, and happy Thanksgiving. Let's get to the top here. Crumpet Pie asks, I consume about 110 grams of protein from whole plant foods, presumably not crumpet pies, in my daily diet. Would that be considered too much? We have no data. I mean, it's never been put to the test. We do have this remarkable study, which I profile in my new book, How Not to Diet, pre-order now, out in 2 weeks from today, I believe. Showing that you take people who eat about that amount of protein, about 105 to 110 grams of protein, and you split it in half down to 56, which is just above the recommended amount of protein, 0.8 grams per healthy kilogram body weight. And you get remarkable metabolic benefits. That's likely because you're cutting down on, branched chain amino acids and these sulfur-containing amino acids, things that are found in predominantly concentrated in animal protein. So we know switching from animal protein to plant protein has benefits. We know that cutting animal protein in half has benefits. Do we know that cutting plant protein in half at that high levels have any benefits? No, but I would guess if such a study was done, I would say that is too high. And that I would recommend people get closer to the recommended daily intake, which would be about half that, depending on your BMI. Okay, Zach Plunkett asks, what about fading, reappearing red spots on the face? Never struggled with acne, eating healthy, and cut out cocoa powder. Well, maybe that may very well be acne, but you should go to a dermatologist, and when you have one of these red spots in your face, and see what it is. But presumably it's just acne, in which case you can watch my videos about acne. Sounds like you already have. And so it's about cutting out dairy and cutting out high glycemic foods, which presumably would be doing if you were eating a diet centered around whole plant foods. That barberry video. Remember the barberry video? That was crazy. People randomized to a teaspoon of barberry, something like that. Very small amount. Oh, I actually have barberries. You just remind me. I got to put some on supper. I forgot to put them on lunch. These great little red berries. They're cheap in Middle Eastern markets. Delicious and have benefits such as significantly decreasing acne outbreaks. So that may be something to try as well. Then the only caveat I believe in that video is not for pregnant breastfeeding women. But again, watch the video to find out. Okay, air fryers. Wendell WNY, no thanks, asks, air fryers, are there any foods that are healthy to be cooked at such a high heat? Sure. We're only concerned about high heat cooking when it comes to muscle foods. So, meat, chicken, fish, etc., because we can get heterocyclic amines. And of course, grilling something over an open flame, we can get polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, these combustion byproducts. Or we can get AGEs, advanced glycation end products, when we expose high temperature foods to these dry heat temperatures. When we expose fat and protein rich foods to these high temperatures, which is predominantly meat. But there are a few high fat, high protein plant foods, such as tofu. So you grilling tofu, not a great idea because producing these advanced glycation end products. Same thing with roasting nuts. I love roasted toasted nuts, but I no longer roast and toast my nuts and seeds and buy raw nut butters because of these advanced glycation end products. One of the few places you can get it eating a healthy diet. So you can imagine how in an air fryer you might be tempted to make wings, right? Like tempeh wings. roll it, make a flax egg with some ground flax seeds and water, dip it in that, and then put it in like cornmeal or now they have this chickpea meal. That's pretty cool. And then you could air fry it. The concern, though, is that exposing those high temperatures too long could produce these AGs. So what I might recommend instead is you steam the tempeh first. So you take the tempeh, put it in like a sweet potato bag. I don't know if you know about these things. You like a little microwave bag, which helps keep all the steam in when you steam a baked potato or something, microwave potato. Well, you can use something like that. Put your block of tempeh in there, of course, with the plastic off. And you steam it for a couple minutes and then basically cook it, right? We always have to cook tempeh. We also have to cook tofu too. Tofu should be cooked. And then it's already cooked. And so then all the air fryer doing is, then we can just put it for a few minutes in the air fryer, just to kind of crisp up the outside. And so we're not really kind of cooking the tempeh at that kind of temperature. But otherwise, what else might you put in an air fryer? Sweet potato fries, right? So you can, you get these purple sweet potatoes. 'Tis the time of the year where you can get these purple sweet potatoes. You open up, they're this bright indigo, crazy color purple. And then, you can roll them in some, nice spicy mixture. Spritz them with apple cider vinegar or malt vinegar first to get the kind of crumbs to stick, the herbs to stick. Put it in there, air fry them to perfection, and then dip them in some hot sauce ketchup, low sodium if you can find it. That's a fantastic snack. The only other concern I might have about air fryers is the fact that it's usually a nonstick surface that they use. I'm working on some videos right now talking about Teflon, talking about nonstick surfaces. And so I will figure out, there's a new video about DuPont with Mark Ruffalo and Anne Hathaway called Dark Waters, I believe, and talks about this fiasco about chemical used in the production of Teflon. I'm eager to see it. I don't know if it's out yet. Anyway, that was a bit of a side tangent. Where are we here? Okay, Joe Ware asks, any advice for chronic Lyme disease and reactive hypoglycemia? I want my dad, whoever suffers from both, to go whole food plant-based, but he struggles with carbs of any kind. So he should eat low glycemic load carbs if that causes a problem. And he should make sure that indeed he has such an entity as chronic Lyme disease, as it is controversial whether such disease entity actually exists. And if it doesn't, or if he doesn't have it, we may be missing something important. The Thea Dragon Spirit asks, what can lead to gut and indigestion issues? All sorts of stuff. But I have a bunch of videos on, if you just type in indigestion or dyspepsia, DYSPEPSIA, into NutritionFacts.org, all my videos will pop up. If I remember correctly, high-fat foods will do it. In fact, you can randomize people to just have broth versus a fatty broth, and fatty broth will cause dyspepsia. And I think amla was actually used, dried Indian gooseberries. Of course, that just controls the symptoms, not the underlying cause. I did a seltzer water video, right? Like a carbonated water video that I think helped with dyspepsia. I know I did a video. I forget the whether it actually helped or not, but I think it did. So, but check out those videos, and hopefully that may help you. Thea Dragon Spirit also asked, for example, how low B12 or vitamin D levels in the human body can this lead to indigestion or not, causing breakdown in the intestines properly? Okay, so I don't typically think of vitamin D and indigestion issues. Vitamin D has lots of pleiotropic, lots of multiple uses in the body, not just for bone health, but indigestion doesn't come to mind. Low B12 levels can cause gastrointestinal symptoms. In fact, vitamin B12 deficiency is called the Great Masquerader, meaning it causes everything, right? In fact, I have this new series of videos on vitamin B12 coming out. In fact, I'm going to do a whole new B12 webinar. In fact, you'll notice I just actually changed my B12 recommendations down to 50 a day or 2,000 a week, down from 250 a day or 2,500 a week. So a whole series of videos. And I talk about, and I was like, what are the symptoms of vitamin B12 deficiency? What aren't the symptoms of vitamin B12 deficiency? And I go through and cause everything from gut issues to nerve issues to you name it. So Yeah, that could be do it. Of course, there's more important reasons to get your vitamin B12, and everyone just has to make sure to ensure a regular, reliable dose if you're eating a plant-based diet. Martin Bester asks, what do I think about ice baths? Oh, that sounds horrible. In terms of data, I don't know of any data. I think I have some sauna videos, but no. I do have a video. Oh, not a video. In my new book, How Not to Diet, coming out in 2 weeks. I'm not just always plugging the diet. Of course, all proceeds I get, I'll go to charity anyway, but I do want to help people. There was a study on cold showering, not exactly cold baths. What did it say? I think it did not affect I think it was trying to boost immune system or something. So I think they randomized people. I'd have to look. My recollection, they randomized people to cold showers or not, and trying to see if it like boosted their immune system. And if I remember, they did not have fewer days off work in either group. Like it was the same. Like it seemed to be a flop, I think. But of course, there's other things that could be measured, and they weren't talking baths. They were talking about showers. But that just sounds. Make sure you do not have, if you're taking an ice bath, something called autonomic failure, since that could cause problems. There was a poor woman who stroked out taking the ice bucket challenge because she had autonomic dysfunction and cold water in the face, thanks to the diving reflex, which we've known since the 1700s, has this remarkable ability in our body, basically a safety feature for all air-breathing animals, but you have to have the autonomic nerves to tamp down your heart. Otherwise, you can skyrocket your blood pressures like 100 points, and that could be a problem. Okay, if indeed something's wrong with your nervous function. Okay, Brenda WNY, no thanks, asks, I think my new book is already shipped. It's shipped to warehouses, but you shouldn't actually be able to get a copy. And if you can, then, it's funny. I actually got boxes. Well, I got boxes. And it says on the thing, it's like embargoed until, December 10th. So do not sell these. And so presumably stores all across the country got these books saying, don't sell these until December 10th. But you can totally see how someone would be like, hey, sell you one in the back alley or something. But I don't know. You shouldn't be able to, but fine with me. Now I need to come up to Buffalo to cite it. I think I am coming to Buffalo. I'm doing a lot of upstate New York. I'm speaking, if I can remember correctly, in Keuka, at Keuka College in Homer, New York, which is between Binghamton and Syracuse, in Syracuse, also Rochester, and also Buffalo. I'm doing like that whole throughway circuit, and in like 2 days or 3 days, something crazy. But then I get to go see my mom, who lives in Binghamton. So that's the best way to cap off any week. All right, where am I? We did indigestion. Buffalo. Okay. Alyssa Roberts asked, what are the facts? That's the way any good question should start out. What are the facts on colloidal silver? My mom swears by it and seems very homeopathic to me. I wish it was homeopathic. If it was just one silver drop for every, for 10 million drops, then it wouldn't cause silver toxicity. Indeed, there's a disease. In fact, your skin turns a particular color. They'd be like, you have silver toxicity, which you can get. You should not be eating silver. You should not be dripping it in your nose. You should not be, anyway. Presumably, you could put it on your skin without being absorbed, but I don't know why anyone would do that. So does silver have antimicrobial properties? Yes. So people are like, I have sinusitis. I'm going to stick it up my nose. But then you swallow it, and you can get a silver toxicity disease. Don't do it. All right. That was easy. Joseph Campbell. Oh, is that the Joseph Campbell? Oh, I can't see. Like the little icons are so small. But are there any studies you recommend relating to raising of plant-based children? There's a bunch of wonderful reviews out now. If you don't have access to the medical literature, well, you can watch my video, how to download like any medical journal article for free or whatever. But you may not be able to understand the kind of medicalese. Instead, I might point folks to a good lay sources, basically anything written by Brenda Davis, Vasanta Molina, or Reed Mengels. So Reed has a fantastic book out on pregnancy, plant-based pregnancies, and then and all three of them are some of the I would think of as the most trusted dietitians when it comes to plant-based rearing of children that I can think of offhand. Okay, Janet Bulk says, Dr. Greger, please some cookie recipes. Do I have? So I have, of course, the How Not to Diet cookbook. In fact, just working on the How Not to Diet cookbook, which will be out December 2020, next December, a year from next month. But we're just working on the recipe list. I don't think there's any cookies. Sorry. Yeah, that's the way. We need some weight loss cookies. I'll get on that. Yeah. All right. Minimalist Vegan asks, hi, Dr. Greger. I've been having hypertension in the middle of the night. While I sleep, I've been trying to notice some redness in my eyes that won't go away, mostly whole plant foods. Do you know what is wrong? So nocturnal hypertension, having hypertension middle of the night, is characteristic of what's called sensual hypertension, which is basically a diet-related disease. And if you don't do something about it, you will be put at risk for stroke, kidney failure, eye problems, all sorts of bad things can happen if you have high blood pressure. So what can you do? There's so I would encourage you to eat even healthier. I have a chapter, of course, How Not to Die on high blood pressure, and I would follow that to the letter. Since you diet around whole plant foods and add things like hibiscus tea and ground flax seeds to drop your blood pressure down. If you can't do it through diet and, of course, exercise can help bring your blood pressure down. If you can't do it through diet and lifestyle changes, then you need to talk to your doctor about putting you on blood pressure drugs such as a diuretic to start. Deb Adams asks, any tips on dealing with esophageal spasms? That's interesting. That's actually a good question. I don't think I've ever done any videos on esophageal spasms. Yeah, so it's not something I've run across. But if you go to PubMed.gov and look in the National Library of Medicine database and put in esophageal spasms and diet, anything interesting sounding pops up, let me know about it. And maybe if there's some practical tips I can offer to people, I will do a video about it. Okay, Martin Bester again asks, looking forward to seeing you in Iceland. I am speaking in Iceland for the first time. It's one of the few countries I haven't spoken yet. Also speaking in Poland for the first time. Can you believe it? Also speaking in Switzerland for the first time. So yeah, really excited that I think it's in May, about 200 cities coming up. In my speaking tour for the next book. Hope to see you. I mean, I'm sure I'll be in your hometown somewhere, although I'm not going to Australia this year. I'm sorry for all my Australian fans and those. I've just been invited to Thailand and China and Korea, to South Korea and Singapore. I'm not going to make it. It does not look like I'm making it out to Asia this time. It's just it's so hard to pack those in because, you need a whole day just to travel. But I am doing kind of a European tour, and of course everywhere here in the continental U.S. as well as Hawaii. I was invited to Alaska, but again, it takes so long to get there. It's instead of doing that, I could speak at more places, skipping my Alaska trip. Sorry about that, but I am speaking Hawaii and the rest of the continental U.S. Hope to see you there or somewhere. You can go to drgreger.org and click on speaking dates, and there's the whole list. And it's piling up. If you want me to come speak in your hometown, you can go to NutritionFacts.org, click on the speaking invitation link, and maybe I'll be able to fit you in. But do it soon because it's getting packed. All right. Roshni Saxena asks, is toxicity, dioxins, DDE, chlordane, and arsenic only in white potatoes, or is it also in sweet potatoes too? Those toxins are not particularly in white potatoes any more than anything on planet Earth has been contaminated. DDE is a DDT metabolite. Chlordane, pesticide, I believe a banned pesticide at this point. Arsenic, yeah, and I wouldn't think arsenic is in like water-laden foods like wild rice and rice. Maybe you're thinking of these compounds found in the skins of white potatoes, particularly in green and mature white potatoes. Sweet potatoes are healthy, though, so I encourage you to eat sweet potatoes. And there's no particular toxin that I know of inhabiting sweet potatoes. So eat up. And what a perfect time of the season. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat your Sweet potatoes, even better, purple sweet potatoes if you can find them. Lynn W. asks, reverse, all caps, sluggish heart valves. Thanks. I don't know what a sluggish heart valve is, like a stenosed heart valve. I do know that I'm super excited. I'm doing a video. I don't know when it's coming up. I have to script a whole year's of videos because I'm going to be on the road for a year. So I have all this great new information circling around in my head, which is great to do these Q&As because I can share all this stuff that we don't have videos even on yet. And one of the things is on heart failure. For the first time treating heart failure with a whole food plant-based diet, there was a case report, I think it was in the New Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention. Make sure you go to ijdrp.org, right? The International Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention, this new peer-reviewed medical journal that talks about chronic disease reversal. How cool is that? I'm doing a series of videos talking about some of the first few issues, and it's free, completely free. I would encourage you to subscribe. Anyway, one of the, I believe it's in that journal, they have this amazing case report, in fact, a case series on folks reversing quite serious heart failure, like ejection rates down 25% up to normal with a whole food plant-based diet. We knew that plant-based diets could reverse coronary artery disease, but that's different than heart failure. And heart failure can be due to valvular problems or all sorts of muscular problems in terms of not being able to pump blood efficiently throughout the body. Little did we know what a plant-based diet can do, and miraculous results. Can't wait to see it put to the test in a randomized controlled trial. But based on those case reports, I don't see why it shouldn't be. All right, where are we now? Okay, Ian Chabot, or Chabat, says, come to BC a day early. Oh, in July, and come talk to us in Victoria. Oh, I must be in that area in Victoria. I would love to speak in Victoria. I've spoken in British Columbia before. If there's a local hospital or something or university that wants to bring me out, I would love to come speak. Just click on the speaker invite button, and hopefully I'll fill it in. The trip's getting packed though, but hopefully I can squeeze in. The more the better, as far as I'm concerned. All right, Roshni is back saying, should we take iodine supplements if we aren't eating much sodium or salt? Who shouldn't be eating too much sodium and salt? Everybody shouldn't be eating sodium and salt, right? So iodine, critical mineral, critical nutrient, which is necessary for thyroid function. It's found in terms of food supply, mostly in marine sourced foods. So both like seafood and sea vegetables like seaweed. And for people that don't eat those, they may not get enough iodine. And so iodine, so the salt supply has been iodized, although only about 50% of salt sold in the U.S. is actually iodized, and the salt used in processed foods is typically not iodized. So even if you are eating salt, you're probably not getting iodine. You may not be getting iodine. But if you do use salt, yes, you should use iodized salt. But no one should be using salt. No one should be adding salt to their food, because the number one dietary risk factor for death on the planet Earth, according to the Global Burden of Disease Study, largest study of risk factors in human history, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's the worst thing about the global diet. Worse, killing more people than soda and processed meat and you name it, eating too much sodium. So we all need to cut down on salt. Where are we going to get our iodine? Fantastic question. Okay, so now actually the number one source of iodine in the United States, because Americans don't eat a lot of fish, is actually milk. Now it's not found naturally, concentrated in milk, but they use these teat dips or sprays where they use like betadine type iodine-containing disinfectants to disinfect the udder before milking, and it kind of leaches into the milk. The iodine is also added to cattle feed, and so milk, the American milk supply, the dairy supply, contains iodine. Actually, is up to like 50% of the iodine, depending on the population here in the United States. Okay, so you're not eating fish, you're not eating sea vegetables, and you're not eating milk. Where are you going to get your iodine? Fantastic question. Now, what I would like to see is the plant-based milk companies of the world, the oat milks and the soy milks and the almond milks. Why are you adding iodine, right? You should add like, 100 micrograms of iodine per cup, just like to kind of equal what's currently in kind of the dairy milk supply. You already add B12 and calcium and other nutrients, sometimes vitamin A, vitamin D, to bring it up to on parity with milk. Why not add iodine? And so if you look, very rarely will you find iodine added. And I think that's a travesty. And it's particularly a problem because vegans, in a study in Boston, for example, found to have insufficient iodine levels. What you do is you measure the iodine flowing through your bodies by doing a 24-hour urine collection. Normal sufficient iodine is like 100 through 199, probably micrograms per liter or something like that. And the vegans came, and so average population in the United States is about 130. And vegans came in at 78. And now, of course, one vegan came in at like 9,600, whatever, because they're eating kelp, which is too high, way too high. We shouldn't be eating kelp. It's too much iodine. But so that suggests that vegans are getting insufficient iodine. It's particularly a problem during pregnancy, where everybody needs to ensure a regular, reliable source of iodine. Certainly don't want to do that with fish because of the industrial pollutants like mercury. How do you do it? You make sure your prenatal vitamin has iodine, and only 60% of prenatal vitamins in the United States follow the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation, the Thyroid Association's recommendation to make sure iodine, 150 micrograms a day, is in your prenatal supplements. If you're going to take prenatal vitamins, which you should, they should include iodine, and 40% don't. Okay, so, but then, after weaning, where are we going to get iodine from? The healthiest source, until the plant-based milk companies get their act together. Of course, no one needs to drink milk of any kind, but if you are going to drink milk, might as well have some iodine in it, is sea vegetables. You say, oh, I don't like seaweed. Well, there's lots of unseaweedy type seaweed. So, for example, dulse is a relatively mild form of seaweed. You can get dulse flakes. So 1 teaspoon a day, get all the iodine you need. So you can sprinkle on any food and develop it. I encourage you to develop a taste for it. Another way, easy way to do it, nori sheets. Like those sushi sheets. You can buy a 50-pack, pretty cheap actually. And what a great, you can snack on them. That's what I do. I just chew on nori sheets. So 2 a day will get you all the iodine you need. And your thyroid gland stores iodine, so you don't actually have to get iodine every day, but you should kind of average out to about 150 micrograms. Another easy way is alaria. One of my favorite seaweeds for soups, a single teaspoon of alaria. These like little threads, little like dark green threads. Fantastic for miso soup. Yum. 1 teaspoon is all you need. What's another good way? So those are 3 common ways. The only 2 seaweeds I would stay away from is kelp, has too much iodine, and hijiki, spelled with both a J or a Z in the middle, has too much arsenic. Stay away from hijiki. Whew, that was a long question. Long answer, sorry, but great question. Fantastic. I love good questions. All right, where are we going? Now the pressure's on for the next questioner, who is Tina. Tina Biswas. Sorry, I mispronounced everyone's name. Dr. Ray, please name the best foods to counter depression. I've got a video on that. In fact, I think the video is called Best Foods for Depression. Something like that. So yeah, just type in depression. And I believe folate-containing foods, vitamin C-rich foods. There's a bunch of, there's foods that act as like MAOI inhibitors, really cool stuff. It's really fascinating science. And actually studies have put it to the test. So we can, by removing meat, fish, chicken, other meat, and eggs from one side, you can get a significant boost in mood in a randomized controlled trial within just 2 weeks. But in terms of particular plant foods that are beneficial, check out my videos. And then in 3 books from now, so like 2029, I'm going to do a book on diet and mental health, but it's a couple down the road. All right. Fly Shacker or Flies Hacker asks, what kind of sublingual B12 supplement would you recommend? All the ones that they find contain artificial flavors, sweeteners, which you don't want. Okay, good question. All right. So I recommend that vitamin B12 supplements be taken it's taken alone, so not in a multivitamin, because there are some vitamins and minerals when mixed together with B12 can actually destroy the B12 and even worse, turn into B12 analogs, which actually, instead of adding B12 to your diet, subtract B12 by blocking B12. And so we don't want to take it in a multivitamin. We want to take it separately as a separate B12, either sublingual, chewable, or liquid. And that's because when B12 mixes with saliva, our salivary glands create a protein that binds, a binding protein that binds with B12 and helps ferry it safely through the digestive tract. So by having it mixed with saliva, it actually improves absorption. So there was this dramatic series of experiments. We have a video coming out showing where you have people swallow a B12 tablet versus just chewing it up and swallowing it like a little lozenge. Obviously B12 levels shoot up in the chew group, but flatline, hardly anything in the swallow group. And they're like, wow, are they just not absorbing or something? No, then they had those same people chew the same pills and boom, all their levels came up. So, but the question then is, well, what's the best brand? The important thing is that you're getting cyanocobalamin, not methylcobalamin or methyl B12, cyanocobalamin. Typically, if it just says vitamin B12, it is cyanocobalamin. It is the most stable form because methylcobalamin is photosensitive, meaning exposed to light, it can degenerate. And someone has to take much higher doses. You don't even know if those doses are going to help you. So 1 out of the 3 vegans it was tried in who were B12 deficient didn't work in them. And that's because it may have been all gone. That's why we use cyanocobalamin, shelf stable, and also happens to be the cheapest. And so that's the most important thing. And then in terms of brand, it's all just, if there's something you want to stay away from. The amount of artificial colors or sorbitol or whatever is in those little lozenges or sprays or liquid is not something that I would worry about. You can look around and maybe there's one that doesn't have such a thing. It's not something I care about. It's not something I care about because I don't think there's any associated risk. But if you do find one that's, colored with beet juice or something, then let everybody know. We can switch on over. All right. Jag Singh asks, what are my thoughts about whole food plant-based diet and longevity? That's my next book, which I will start writing in January of 2021 after the book tour, How Not to Age, and it should be out 2022. December 2022. I'm very much looking forward to diving into that research. But it will indeed be nice to take a break from all that research and go out on the road and meet everybody that I've been helping all these years to inspire me to continue the journey. Okay, so the answer to the question is hold tight, stay tuned, and we will get there. All right. What? Hold on. Am I already over time here? I'm so sorry. I got so lost. That iodine answer took us away. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. That's it for today. I hope everyone, I will look forward to seeing everyone next month. And hopefully I'll be telling everyone the good news that How Not to Diet, thanks to all your pre-orders, came out, launched as the #1 New York Times bestseller book. Fingers crossed. See everybody later. Bye.